back to Red Glasses Talks. The title today is Be Priority Driven. We've said there out of Matthew 22, 37 to 39, there are 4 priorities. So far we've looked at 3 and we're still continuing on 3. First is a personal commitment to Jesus Christ. The second commitment is a personal commitment to loving yourself and taking care of yourself. The third commitment is a commitment to other followers of Jesus, having healthy relationships in that category. So the focus we're working on right now under priority number 3 is marriage. And the question would be, how do you make your marriage sizzle, not fizzle? That's what we're talking about. Last time we said the first ingredient is you've got to have commitment. And we went into that in detail. Hope you go back and listen to that. Today, the second ingredient, the second key to a successful marriage, I believe, is communication. Your communication. In Malachi chapter number 2, 14, 15, right in that area, basically it points out that your wife, your husband, they are your best friend. And so if they're your best friend, then how do we communicate to our best friends? So a guy says to his wife, I know we don't communicate. It's one of my few pleasures. Well, that's not a good sign. So when you communicate, there are primarily 3 components to sending a message and getting that message effectively through so that someone, your husband, wife, will understand it. So as you look on the diagram here, first of all, there are the actual words you say. Then there's the tone of voice, 38% actual words, only 7% is critical in getting your message through. And then the nonverbal communication, body posture, lack of eye contact, etc., is 55%. And so often, I have thought over the years, I do a lot of speaking, teaching, etc. Well, if I just say the words, I'm sure I got through clearly. That is absolutely not true. So we need to understand, again, it's just not the words, it's the tone of voice, it's the nonverbal communication that make up the pie of communicating effectively. So, communication is difficult. Why is it difficult? Someone said it this way: when 2 people talk, 6 possible messages can get through. 1, what you mean to say. 2, what you actually say. 3, what the other person hears. 4, what the other person thinks he hears. 5, what the other person says about what you said. 6, what you think the other person said about what you said. Oh my goodness, that's exhausting. Someone said, I know you think you understand. I think you understand what you believe I said, but I wonder if you realize what you heard was not what I meant. My goodness, what a deal. So when we communicate, we got to talk and we have to listen. Listening can be difficult. In fact, I think listening and listening well is extremely challenging but important. I had a friend years ago that said he was on an airplane and this lady sitting next to him, it was her first flight. She had never flown before. Well, that plane hit an air pocket and that thing dropped 5,000 feet like that. This lady turns green. And my friend was trying to listen to her, to make her feel comfortable, first flight and all that. She looks at him when things calm down and threw up all over him. So there he is, and sitting in all of her throw up. Oh my God, well, they came and cleaned him up as best they could. And then the lady looked at my friend Jim and she said, oh, I feel so much better. Well, sometimes what we have to do as we communicate and listen, we got to be willing, I don't have it with me, we got to be willing to hold the bucket. Fire it right in there. Give it all you got. You got to be willing to listen, and sometimes it's difficult to listen. So, here's a little homework for you. Go in your Bible, read in the Old Testament, go through the book of Proverbs by Solomon, and start at chapter 10 and go to the end of the Proverbs. There are 31 Proverbs, and write down and note and highlight every time in there it talks about communication, talking, etc., listening, etc. It's going to be a great exercise for you. So the question is, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the best, how good at communication are you? You think about that.